pages. Okay? A student should read in a course. This is not education. This is dictation. And if you consider a book and the professor is reading the book, and the students are writing what's in the book, so the student are dictating the book and buying the book, and there should be some evidence to the professor that every student has bought the book. So it is a circus. It is not even void of the amusement of circus. So what kind of education is there? So it's happened long time now. So in the political sphere, in the intellectual sphere, there is no debate. There is no open debate. That's why people became, unable to question. They are only able to listen to answers. And fundamentalist movement are very, very clever in presenting easy answers to difficult questions. If someone else is asking the people to think, is giving a probable answers, people will not be very happy. Because if you say, well, it's possible to be this way, but it's almost possible to be this way, people, they want a clear answer. This is very damaging. So the traditionalist is successful because of the absence of public sphere debate, of the ill-educational system, and that's why it's very hard. Now the mass media is under control of the government. I mean, now people are watching TV more than reading books. And in Egypt, for example, illiteracy is more than 60%. So if only 40% can read, and you can imagine only 30% will read the whole newspaper, and the other 30 will go to sports, okay, and other things. And from these 30% who would read the whole paper, again, 15% will read books. You can imagine the situation. So if the only way to address people is to write books or articles, you are nowhere. Okay. While traditionalists are using TV by the help of the government, the radio, and not to forget the mosque. The mosque is a more powerful mass media than the TV. So I think this is reasons that the traditionalist discourse is dominating, and it is, in a way, very compatible with the official political discourse about religion. I mean, there is no real conflict between the political discourse about religion of the state and the very fundamentalist discourse. The difference is on the mean to spread the discourse. Okay? So governments are not against the ideology of fundamentalism. They are against the behavior using violence. But in fact, basically, on the deep level of the discourse, there's no difference.
So would you agree with some of the justification of the modernists in thinking about Algeria, modernist Algeria, and justifying to bypass in the beginning the opinion of the public interest, social interest?
I was against this in the first place. 1992 was a crime by the military elite, who also think that they are the prophets of the nation. And France. I mean, if the people, on a free choice, have chosen, they have the right to taste their choice. And I think when the people are able to choose, they will be able to change. But everyone is afraid. The problem is everyone is afraid, and everyone is making himself the godfather of the nation, who knows best what really people need. No, I'm an intellectual. It means I am a civil servant. Okay, like anyone else doing the other job. It shouldn't give me any authority to tell the people what they should do and what they should not do. I would give my discourse. The people would accept it, that's fine. Refuse it, that should be fine with me. mean, depriving the people from their choice was very bad. I think Iran, because people were not deprived of argument, Iran is now trying to get through. And this is a sign. If the people choose, and if they make wrong choice, they can also make reformation. That's why reformation is a public interest. It's not some intellectual interest. The people who voted for Khatami was not intellectuals. And this is a good sign. I hope that the international stupid politics will not damage what's going on in Iran, because it's very important for a religious state like Iran to go through this process of democratization and you know, accommodation of liberty, of plurality. Okay, that's a very good sign. And that's a very good proof that Islam is not against this. Because people there, I mean, it's the ideology of the state that is Islam. It's the Shiite state.
I wonder if I may ask a question. Could you talk a little bit about the intellectual community that you're a part of? I mean, it's clear that people who approach Islam in ways that are parallel to the way that you approach Islam constitute a relatively interesting group of speakers. And one can think of examples, and writers, one can think of examples from Egypt, Syria, and Iran, and Turkey, and Indonesia, and so on. Would you speak a little bit about this community, I mean, beyond the state? Is there an international discourse that is going on? To what extent are immigrant communities in Europe and the United States participating in this? And when you look to the future, how do you see this dialogue, this discourse developing?
Yeah, this is a very important question, and we thought about it only a few months ago. Is it possible to bring those people who are individuals in the country? We don't, in any specific country, we don't form a group that have real impact, unless this group is affiliated with the government, or sometimes in a way negatively affect the discourse in a negative way. Is to bring those people together. And I tried last June to I organized a conference about Quranic study, and I brought together those people from Muslim area, from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from India, from Egypt and Syria, from was there, and from North Africa, and from South Africa, and even with European scholars from Europe and United States and Canada. And I think this is, in my opinion, and I think everyone expressed it, it's the first time not to have Muslims and non-Muslim scholars together, but to have Muslim scholars from different countries together. And we intend to continue this kind of communication to create some sort of platform to address this question. But this is very, very new. And the only place to meet is outside the Muslim world, which again would make it very, not part of the soil. Okay? For Muslims in Europe or Muslims in the Western world, there are groups again, okay, that range from very, very fundamentalist groups to a more open groups. So they have their own activity, but separate activities. There's no collective ground that can make. But anyway, every dialogue between Muslim scholars, and non-Muslim scholars start this way. To tell you the truth, I am not optimistic, but I cannot afford to be pessimistic. So I am optimistic in an indirect way, because being optimistic is a way to continue. In every country, in Egypt, for example, the system, which I call the Third Republic, okay, just to avoid using, naming a country by name, Nasser and Sadat. But the Third Republic have succeeded in something which the First Republic and the Second Republic failed. Because of the terrorist activity, which was in Cairo and in Upper Egypt, and this created an atmosphere of support to the system by intellectuals who were supposed to be in the opposition. So the support for the system now is widening. I mean, individual intellectuals now are still outside this kind of support. And I feel this is as a negative side, because the system, whatever it looks like, is the system. Okay. So the critical discourse, critical discourse, is weak inside. People are very courageous to talk in closed door. But in the open, especially when the topic is religion, everyone is reluctant to say anything different than the traditional way of saying things. This is, so it seems that the only option is for people to go out and to be able to speak. How far this will lead, I don't know. Really. In Syria, for example, it's Hafiz al-Assad, with his great, strong hand, okay, who is able to accommodate Shahrur and Sadat al-Azm. But I think the moment also Assad would die, okay, or be killed, you cannot tell what happened in some years ago, what would affect, because the traditionalist, fundamentalist trend is very strong in Syria. But they are under this, strong grip of Hafez. He's keeping it. It's the same in Tunisia. I mean, even countries which look very bright, that's the service, because the military regime is very strong against the people, but traditionalism is there, and the wrong they are underground. The more fundamentalist they develop. So this is the situation, and as I said, the international politics is not helping in changing this scene. As long as the interest of the international power is protected, everything is beautiful.
If I can follow up and ask a more personal question.
Yeah.
And I know you're tired of this subject. I know you're tired of it. But look, thinking about the question constructively, what are the conditions under which you could return to Egypt in your full capacity? I know we were talking earlier, you could return to Egypt.
Yeah.
But under what circumstances, what would have to take place in order for you to be able to return to Cairo and resume your responsibilities at the university, even teaching in the context of Islamic study of Islam and so on? Because of course the doctrine that was used to declare you an apostate and to force your wife to divorce you is now a doctrine which is totally illegal. So what steps would need to take place for this condition to change?
Well, there's no legal steps to be taken. My lawyers, and by the way, the coordinator of the Foreign Defense Committee is a woman, and she will be in this conference, and she is the one who is not ready to give up. I mean, I gave up. I told her, look, Muna, it's over. I mean, don't just forget about it. Relax. But she didn't relax. And how strong this person, this woman is. She, I mean, this was the last thing she accomplished, which is, for me is a victory. She could challenge the verdict on a lower court on the ground that it was based on anti-constitutional law. And she made this kind of, well, as far as I understand it, she said there is no crime in the Egyptian law called apostasy. So there is no crime, there is no law, there is no crime, there should be any punishment. Because this is the simple logic of, so the law according to which the verdict was based is against the Constitution. And to great surprise, the lower court accepted the challenge. But the whole case has to be now, taken to the Constitutional Court to decide if the law which is used is inconstitutional or not. But how long this will take in the Constitutional Court? Maybe 10 years, okay. Maybe 10 days, you cannot tell. But if the Constitutional Court decided that this challenge is valid, so the verdict is against the Constitution, then the whole case had to start from the beginning again. I mean, it would not dismiss the case. And then the change of the law that came after the verdict could not be applied to this case, because it was before the law. So the whole case had to start from the very beginning, from the first instance court, and then the appeal court, and then the cassation court. I mean, we'll go, from scratch, as we say in the computer language. So it doesn't seem likely that I would be able to return back and function in my complete capacity. There is one thing that would allow me to go, but I think this is impossible. A public apology. Not to change the verdict, but a public apology from the highest authority in my country. I know the people are not against me. I know them. I know the people, women, young men, the majority of the Egyptian people. But the silent majority, who can speak to you, who can phone you, who can send you a letter, but they will never know. They don't have the courage to. They are against this. And I was ready to stick in Egypt, and I asked for half an hour on TV. Because I wanted to address, I'm an Egyptian fellow. Before a professor, before anything, I'm an Egyptian Muslim fellow. And I don't want the people of the country to think that I'm against Islam. So I wanted half an hour. And I was sure that my skill as a teacher, okay, would enable me to communicate with people. But just give me half an hour. And my point to the Minister of Information, that you gave a terrorist person who repented from being a terrorist, was given 2 hours on the Egyptian satellite. And it was repeated several times. I said, well, I think I deserve something like this. Okay, so give me half an hour, but no answer was given. It's very hard. And yesterday in Chicago, a lot of Islamist people were there. Okay. And for my surprise, most of them came and said, well, we are finished with you. We thought you are not Muslim. So that's the point. I think everyone has to listen to you. Okay. What they know now is the verdict and all this propaganda made. So a public apology, which I think is not likely to become, because this at least will give me the courage to go into the classroom, to meet my students, okay, to deal with my neighbors in my house. Because I'm a very social person. I love strolling in the street, talking with people, okay, having a coffee, in a coffee shop, talking to stranger people. I'm not a man who is, between the office and the study room in his house. Sometimes I love communicating with people. I will not have this chance. So Egypt, for me, is not there. If I return back and being able to do this, I'm not in Egypt. So it doesn't matter if I am in Egypt or in Holland or in the United States. as long as my life would be the classroom and in my study room, sometimes going to the movie or to a theater or having, you know, an academic discussion with some friends, it could be done anywhere. Okay. Well, I know it's not an easy thing to ask, and it will not happen. But let me say that I'm very angry. Okay. It has been 3 years now, 4 years now, and my anger is not, there's no any release in my anger. Any. Okay. Very, very angry. And I'm angry for my country. Okay. Like someone who's angry for his mother. You love your country, but you're angry to the extent that I told my wife is with me, I mean, she didn't divorce me. She insisted that she would never leave me, and then she was labeled by Officer Sharia as Zania. And this hurt more than the verdict itself. And that's why my wife is very angry. And she said she would love to listen to his wife commenting on this case. Anyway, I told her, well, look, Egypt is not right for me. Okay. Don't take my body back to my bed when I'm dead, because I don't want to think about Egypt as a grave. Okay. She did not accept what is well. This is my will. I will write it down and give it to a lawyer, and you have to apply to it, because really I hate to think about myself as returning back to my country in a box. Egypt is more important to me than to be, agreed. So this is my condition. I made it very, very explicit to the people of the authority, but you know how politics is. I mean, as I told you, everyone is happy that I'm not there. And I think I have to be happy also, as long as I'm able to communicate. And I still publish in Arabic. My books are in Egypt, more demanded than ever. My name is there. Some of the